committee and get some parents to come in and share their ideas and their concerns, because you know, I currently don't have any children at Manchester, and even if I did, you know, you're looking at a snapshot, you know, and I think, so that was my idea with that committee, particularly, I think with this budget, it's going to put a lot of strain. I think we may have those parents back saying that they don't have chairs and they don't have textbooks, depending on how they work their budget problems out, so.
And this committee here was within the contract? So this would be, like you just said, the conduit for whatever comes up at that assessment committee. This would be the board member that would
That's my
approve.
idea. I'm not,
Let's
you know,
assume that we're going to have an assessment committee. We still have
Okay.
to discuss it,
Yeah.
but maybe these two advisory board members are the school board reps to the assessment committee, and then they take that and go to the advisory. I'm just, you know, we still have to talk about it as a board, but.
yeah, and my reading of the contract is these are non-voting positions. It's an advisory position. But I think we should exercise that and to the fullest if we have an issue. The one thing I think that we need to do is if we have issues, we need to bring them forward. So if this is the official way to do it, then I guess we'll go for it.
Okay.
Like I said, I'll take either one.
And again, if nobody else has interest, I will take one. Do you have a preference?
I guess I would go for West only because I have students go through there. A little more familiar with it, not
Okay,
much. but-
so I'll take Central. This next group, we've had, because of the amount of committees, these are also reps to the Manchester High School, or their Manchester High School committees, you know, athletic, building and sites, coordination, curriculum and instruction, finance, student conduct, information technology. I can tell you, I did curriculum and instruction, which I still get when I would get the agendas for Manchester. If there was something that pertained to high school, I would attend. I went to my first one night and sat through a K through 2 discussion from Manchester. That went for 3 hours. So whoever chooses any, if you do choose any of these, I would suggest you look at those agendas because they're pretty lengthy at times, and make sure it's something that pertains to us.
Do you know how many days you meet? Is
Well,
it a regular once a month meeting?
yeah,
I mean, it doesn't mean it's always high school, but.
Yeah, the school board meets a lot. I mean, they have Saturday meetings, but we get the agenda sent to us when we get the agenda. We don't always get the agendas until probably the day before, but when we get the agendas, again, you want to look at them closely because you could sit through a redistricting of K through 6 that can go for 6 hours. So.
You notice these say or designee?
Yeah, we have appointed parents, non-board members to these as well.
I certainly think that might be a good avenue. I mean, just looking down like athletics. I mean, we've got some parents here that are very into athletics at the high schools that probably would know a little bit more of the ins and outs than I certainly would. I also think it might be a way that we could involve the community and cut a little bit of our own work as far as attending. The other thing I'm kind of wondering here too is, I mean, I've been able to watch some of their meetings on TV, so, I mean, I know these are board members, but if they could also just keep us abreast by maybe even monitoring what's going on, kind of filter out bring us some important stuff. I mean, I'd be all for that. I do think that this is a really heavy load. I'm really concerned that committees are effective, and sometimes I think if they're, if we're just walking through it, it doesn't really, you don't really get a chance to get involved in it. So I think we should maybe give a shot at trying to get some people involved, or unless somebody on the board is willing. I think I've kind of reached my limit of assignments at this point.
Can we put this in the banner?
that, you know, we're looking for,
Yeah.
you know, and residents that are interested in being members of these, and these are
Yes.
advisory, they're all advisory.
Yeah. The only one that I wouldn't put in is the student conduct, because the appointee is not gonna be able to sit at the meetings when they're talking about a youngster. I don't even know why that's. Yeah, so I wouldn't put that in. And the other one that should really be a board member, if the board's becoming increasingly interested in having an impact at Manchester, we do have the right to have a non-voting school board member.
It's down below, you mean?
Yeah.
School board rep.
Yeah, and that historically has not been filled. So if it is filled, you get agendas to the Board of School Committee meetings, and I believe.
Dana.
And I did attend, but I look at the agendas.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
they're not always
they meet-
talking about,
yeah.
things that pertain to us, but I know one that comes to mind, I went last year when, we had some Hooksett students that, were recognized at.
But that can't be a member of the public, that has to be a school board.
That's a school board member, yeah.
Right.
And you can sit with the board, you're just not voting.
I guess, you know, we're moving to a full-time job. Yeah, I'm concerned about, you know, signing up for board and not showing up 90% of the time. Not, and I understand, I'm not faulting you, Dana, for not showing up, because I could probably do the same thing, but to me, it kind of, you lose some of your effectiveness versus being there every time and really being abreast of what's going on. So I would love to do it, but I've just seen their schedule.
Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah, I mean, plus this schedule, plus these committees, I don't.
That's why,
see how
you
it
know,
goes.
if you're well, which we all are, if we're on any of these, we're going to get the agendas. So, I mean, they really shouldn't be talking about anything that's not on the agenda, so, you know, we should know if we're.
But if you're gonna sit,
You just may wait 3 hours until you get to
Right.
it.
I mean, if you're gonna sit that night, you're gonna show up at the beginning
Oh, yeah,
and sit there
oh, yeah,
throughout.
it's a
So,
long night. I won't kid you, I'm not trying to discourage you, I just want you to know what you're up
Is
against.
this one that can alternate between all of us? You know, if we're gonna get the agenda and we know when we're up,
I would
And
think if we got into a stretch, if you will, where we're talking about high school regularly, I think that would be,
you know, maybe
that would be a great idea. Maybe we could all be alternates, and,
where it would be.
I mean, I'm happy to put my name there, but if we're all alternates, then, or if somebody else would like to put their name there, and again, we're all alternates, it's tough. I mean, I get emails with special Saturday meetings, and they go all day, so.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons that I think, you know, trying to push some of these others into parents would be good, because they're, like Phil said, there's certain ones where you just can't. And I think this one is important. I would put myself down as a contributor or an alternate. I just don't want to make that commitment to say that I'm going to make a majority of the meetings at this point.
So why don't you put me as the member,
Even if we could all start getting the agenda, so we can all start seeing
we'll
it.
all see the agenda,
And,
yeah.
you know, really,
And if we want to, if there is a Hooksett issue, then I think we need to communicate.
Make sure
and
somebody
make it,
can be there.
and who knows, depending on the issue, we
Because
may
we
all
can-
want to be there, so.
we can deliberate and discuss, we just don't have a voting.
Well, yeah, we can have one member up there,
Right.
but, well, we could have one member up there, and the others would, you know, be support if it was a big issue.
I just want to interject one thing here, and I know it's kind of unrelated, but this may be a point for it. I was considering whether maybe we should get name tags that say Hooksett School Board member, because if we attend one of those meetings, we are sitting there as a Hooksett School Board member, and I don't know that they would have name plaques for if we're changing around, but I'm just wondering if that might not be a good way to identify ourselves. You know, especially if we're gonna rotate in and out, because you might sit down and somebody looks at you like,
I know,
Why
I always
are you
went,
here?
I always went to the chair and
Yeah.
stated, whatever committee it was, and stated who I was. And
well, something we could take up. I
Yeah.
just thought there may be certain places we go that we might want to do that to identify
Yeah.
ourselves, so.
Yep. Not a bad idea. So, okay, we're all alternates. And we'll have the athletic through information technology, with the exception of student conduct, put in the manner.
Now, excuse me, and doesn't student conduct though deal with dress code and things like that too, no? That's just actual
Those
student
are disciplinary
discipline, yeah, so. that one.
expulsions and
Right.
so forth.
Right. Okay.
I think the other thing with trying to advertise those, we may be moving toward an effort of trying to get more people involved in the school board, because, you know, perhaps if somebody gets involved in that capacity, then they're going to decide they want to run for school board, or, you know, kind of, you know, get familiar with it. So I think offering those things out to the public when we can be a good opportunity to do that.
Yeah, we've done it. You know, Corey Wilson was a member of the athletic advisory board for a number of years, and she would come report out, you know, at meetings, you know, after she attended. So. Okay. Professional staff nominations.
Now, why don't we table that?
Okay.
My only concern with that is you need a balanced budget, I think, before we make those up.
Okay. When's the deadline?
Notification by statute April 15th. But I've got to get contracts and letters and so forth, so he's got to do it tonight. I mean, at the very least, if we ran into a real problem, and it involved a special meeting just for that, it would be the first time we're going to be able to do that, but
Can we just delay it to later?
I think you can.
Or,
Oh, push it off until after our budget discussions?
Yeah, I don't see that the budget discussion should be terribly in-depth. I to tell you the truth.
Oh, everybody all right with that?
Should
Okay.
be fairly quick.
Let's defer item B, the new business.
And then
So-
before you, I'm sorry, Dana, but before you actually do that, when we get back to it, I'd like to go into non-public with you for 2 minutes.
Before we get to professional staff nominations?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's do a review of 2012-13 budget cuts and related adjustments. We have some information in our packets. Hand it over to you.
What's that?
I'll hand it over to you.
Well,
I
you know,
wasn't in
just,
on the discussion.
no, you weren't. Just so that, and there is something in your packet, right? It's a reconciliation to approved budget. Yeah, that's really what I'm working on.
We got it.
And
Everybody's got it.
essentially, we have a voter-approved budget that's
Yes, yeah.
$854,643 less than the budget that the board adopted. And if we take into consideration things that weren't funded in that approved budget, which were 2 colleague positions, the Director of Language Arts position, and technology equipment, that results in $281,926, leaving a balance